everyone, welcome to episode 2 of our Luminous Light project. We're here at the beautiful Lake Bonney, as you can see behind us, surrounded by some really lovely old twisted and dead trees. So this is our 4-day trip that we've come up here for. So yeah, we're going to have a bit of fun and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Matt said, we're here for the trees, as most people are. This is what Lake Bonney is synonymous for. So, but this time around, I want to kind of slow down a little bit. And last time we were here, we ran around like a couple of mad people trying to photograph everything because it really is a beautiful location. So this weekend, slowing down, focusing on 1 or 2 compositions, making sure that light is right, and then taking the photograph and heading home. So a bit of an early night. So how are you, Matt? What are you after?
Yes, I'll be the same. I'm just going to try and slow down a little bit. Get a little bit frantic when I'm on location, like a bit of a kid in a candy store. So I'm going to just try and slow down. Going to try and do quite a few long exposure blends and a couple of composites. So see what we come up with, and hopefully I can get 4 or 5 prints out of the weekend to take home and put up on the wall at home, which would be great.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're going to be here for a couple of days. We've also taken a bit of a boat ride. So we'll be heading through some of the backwaters of the Murray River, which is absolutely beautiful. Sunrises, sunsets, and lots of editing in between. If you are part of our Facebook page, you'll probably see that there's a couple of live feeds coming up that Matt and I have been into. So yeah, enjoy it. If you're a fan of the video, don't forget, like and subscribe. We'd love to see you part of the crew, and hopefully you get something out of these videos. But if it's not just a laugh, well, hey, look, it's worth it all the time. So anyway, let's get into it.
Guys, thanks a lot.
So I thought I'd bring you through this composition that I've got going on this morning. I'll just spin the camera around. So I'm currently shooting these 2 trees. It might be a little bit difficult to see with such a wide angle lens on this video camera, but the tree that's on the left there has a bit of a bend in it, leading over to the tree on the right. So I'm going to call this photograph The Dancer. You can see it's a beautiful still morning here. We're set up. I'm basically using a lot of negative space in this photograph. The way I've positioned myself is I'm actually standing in the water right now, and I'm just going to show you quickly what the image looks like. Alright, so on the back of the camera, watch out for the glare. Might be a bit difficult to see, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the picture up here now. Alright, so let me talk you through my settings. I'm just going to take a couple of steps back and show you where I'm set up. Okay, so I'm set up here. I've actually got my camera down quite low. It's not water high, that would be a bit silly. But anyway, I've got my camera. So what I'm using here, this is the EOS R. I've got a 16 to 35mm EF lens, so I have the adapter set up on my camera here. On the front I have a Nissi ND1000 filter. I've gone with the screw-on type. I used to use the square slot-in ones, but I found the screw-ins just to be a little bit better. So as far as the camera settings are concerned, I'm currently sitting at f13 30-second exposure, ISO 200. That's only because it was a little bit dark a moment ago. I can probably start dropping that back shortly. So I'm just gonna, whilst I'm here, get that in. I'm currently running a 2-second exposure, so we'll see that take its photograph in just a second. Absolutely beautiful here this morning. Beautiful colours in the sky. Okay, so exposure settings for the camera. I'm currently sitting on f14. I'm shooting at a 30th of a second and ISO 200. So for those of you who don't know, the reason why we use ND filters, and this one's an ND1000, so it's quite a dark filter, is if you look out at the water, you'll see that there's a slight rippling on the water. I'm just coming down A little bit lower, you'll see the water's rippling along the way there. So what an ND1000 filter does is it really, because it makes the camera go for a very, very long exposure, that water smooths right out. So using a longer shutter speed will do that for you. I'm using f14, so that's going to make sure I've got a really nice depth of field the whole way through my photograph, meaning the trees are going to be nice and sharp. The water will be smoky though, well, not smoky, but smooth. It'll also give, on mornings where there's a bit more wind in the air, it'll give the sky a bit more of that streaky look. So if you're trying to achieve that, if you're not quite sure how to get that nice smooth water look, what you want to do is slow your camera down. So shoot for anything upwards of 3 seconds. It depends on what I'm shooting, depends on the time that I want to use. If I'm shooting the sea where there's a lot of movement, I don't always want to really just kill that movement and just flatten everything right out. So shooting at around 3 seconds, particularly as the waves are rolling out to the water, you get these really nice streaks that will give you some leading lines into your actual photograph itself, or to the subject I should say. But at moments like this and today where there's just a slight ripple on top of the water, I'm slowing it right down, so shooting for 30 seconds. It smooths that water right out. It starts to give that little bit of a minimalist feel to it. And if there's movement in your sky, you'll start to get those streaks in the sky. If you're shooting an ND1000 and there's no wind around, you're not going to get any of that sky change. So it can be, sometimes you've got to weigh it up. It's not always worth running an ND1000. I'm just going to quickly spin around here so you can kind of enjoy this background behind me. So yeah, I've got a number of ND1000, sorry, not ND1000s, I've got a number of ND filters. So I've got an ND8, sometimes that's good for when it is quite dark and you just need a little bit more darkness to your images. I've got an ND1000 from Nissi, and I also have an ND3200 from Nissi, which is quite a large stopper. I haven't quite used that one yet. I don't really have the overall need for it, but yeah, so that's how you kind of achieve the smooth water look. So yeah, we're going to see what else is around here, and we're going to head over to Matt and see what he's shooting.
Hi guys, the reason I chose this tree this morning is I like just the gnarliness of it, I guess. It's quite sort of twisted and sort of wound up, I guess. So yeah, I chose the tree for that reason, and also it had quite a lovely reflection when I got here. Since I've been here the last couple of days, I haven't shot much in the way of foreground interest in my shots. They've been sort of a bit longer or a bit wider, utilising just the water. Whereas this morning I thought I'd use a bit of foreground interest. So I actually was walking up here and found there's a lot of driftwood along here. And I did notice that these few were pointing directly at the tree, which adds as a great lead-in line to my shot. So I'd sort of positioned myself here and thought to myself, I will use the foreground. So I've taken a couple of multiple exposures. The first one I exposed for the tree and the sky, because that was a little bit brighter, I guess, at that time. And then I've taken a second exposure for the foreground to brighten up this area, and then I'll blend them together. So how I did that, at the moment I haven't got it on there, but I had my ND1000 on the front of my 5D3, and I've got a 16 to 35mm lens on there. I'm shooting in portrait mode, so it's quite a longer shot. And the ND1000 gives me a blur in the water, and a bit of movement in the clouds, and it also I just like the feel of using that filter. And then when I exposed for my foreground, I actually took that off in one instance and left it on for the second instance, just to see what the difference was, and then I can blend them together. So yeah, really happy with it. With my shots, so we'll see what we come up with when we get back.
So I'm going to do a slight wrap up now, at least from my perspective. Matt will give you his summary as well. If you've never been out here to Lake Bonney, I really recommend that you come out here. It really is a photographer's paradise. Some say that it is a little bit overdone, and I tend to agree. At times it can, but this place is so challenging and rewarding. Matt and I have come out a number of times, and we've stood here on the banks and thought, this isn't gonna work. It's not gonna happen. there's a couple of things we learnt about this location. This time of year, so we're currently in May, is an absolutely beautiful time of year. It is cold, which means we have some, it is pretty clear out here, which is great. But you can see, and you can see from the video behind me, we've got a little bit of cloud. So you want a little bit of cloud. Matt and I are here a little bit later in the season, and the clouds were just thick and grey. And it was okay, but you know, we didn't really get nice colours in the sky. It was really, really tough. But yeah, this place really is that challenging. We come out, like I said, we've set up, we found our compositions, and yeah, we kind of sat there thinking it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. What we did find is that it really does start to crack on after sunset. So hang around for an hour after sunset. This is probably my pro tip from the holiday, is yeah, hang around after sunset. Once the sun goes down, you really start to see some of those colours come out. The other thing is, you can see in one of my photographs that there's a bit of a high key element to that as well. Don't be afraid. Both sides of the lakes are really good. So this film is being shot on the it's the eastern side, I believe, of the lake, and yeah, the sun comes up pretty much, you know, directly over the back of the camera, which is fantastic, and it will set pretty much in front of the camera as well. So either side of the lake, you're guaranteed you're going to get something. But yeah, come along. It's a great little place. Yeah, it's a great place to stay. You can see it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, come along, give it a go. You'll learn a few things. So hope you've enjoyed the video, or at least from my perspective. We'll throw over to Matt, and he can do a bit of a summary of his trip, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Just following on from John, there's been a lot of highs with my photos, but I've also had a bit of a challenge. Had a bit of a challenging day, more so yesterday afternoon. As you can see behind us, it is a very beautiful place, but yesterday afternoon we opted to shoot into the sun, which we obviously do a bit, but I don't know, I found it maybe little bit like probably a kid in a candy store again. There was a lot of options, and I couldn't get settled on one, and when I did, I wasn't 100% happy with it. I tried to make it work. I got some okay stuff, but not what I sort of set out to get. So yeah, it is a challenging place. There are a lot of trees and so forth here, but it's each to their own, I guess. Trying to find the right composition that works for each individual can be quite hard. So, but all in all, the trip's been really good. Really happy with what we've both come out with so far. Yeah, so we'll just keep motoring along and see what we can come up with later on today and tonight. And yeah, just don't let it get you down is the main thing. Just keep moving on, and yeah, you'll be right. So yeah, all good, guys. Thanks a lot.